Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Today I want to talk to you about something a little bit different. I was going to talk about combiners. Been putting it off for 2 weeks because there's a lot to say about what's going on with combiners, but I'm going to use them as an example in here. But today I want to talk about masterpiece transformers versus collecting action figures. We're going to get into the pluses, the minuses, the space is an issue always, price is an issue, value is an issue, accessibility is an issue. But what is better, collecting masterpiece or collecting action figures? And not from a, well, I just like action figures more, or I like masterpiece. I'm just talking about the actual physical ability to collect these things. We'll talk about this and more, and this is the most relevant time to talk about this, because I've talked about it in the past. But we'll go deeper today, coming up. Now, one of the points I want to talk about is the fact that when you have an action figure, you usually, generally only get one figure that does one thing, and it's one mode. And yeah, you can swap out heads and hands and all that kind of stuff, but when it comes to masterpiece transformers, and yes, you could argue this for mainline and all these other ones, but it's a point for a masterpiece transformer, and there's other MP points. It's the same point that you'd have for Legends or Hasbro mainline, but it's definitely a point we're going to jump off there. So with the combiner, I want to use this as an example, which I'm actually loving how this looks, by the way, and I knew I would because Fansoys is probably going to rock it out in combine mode. But you've got a combined mode. You have an alt mode, short for alternate mode. I guess they're both alternate modes, but alt mode, which would be a car, vehicle, something along those lines, airplane, in this case, a crane. Then you have the traditional action figure mode. Now, with that, I think that the action figure aspect of a transformer, especially the masterpiece transformer, is pretty much on par with any action figure that's out there. The vast majority of figures nowadays for masterpiece transformers have similar articulation in some cases because of the transformation. Because some of the joints move in 3 or 4 different directions, you get even crazier articulation. And then in some cases, because of the design of the figure, you have drawbacks where you don't get quite as much range. But at the end of the day, overall, the articulation, the actual action figure itself, it is all about the same, on par, for the most part, with action figures. The next thing I want to say is the variety. And I have to admit that it almost feels overly done with Marvel Legends, and that's my impression of someone else's impression of some guy I've never watched, but it just seems like it's ridiculous and redundant how many Iron Man that are out there, how many of the Spider-Man figures that are out there. And yes, I understand I've got more than one Optimus Prime, but I've seen some crazy Iron Man and Spider-Man collection. And I found this interesting picture. It is kind of ingenious when Tony Stark has a whole slew of different suits put away in similar fashion to this. Yeah, it's ingenious, but it's a challenge to collect. For me, it wouldn't be that much fun to try to get all these Iron Men. I really pride myself on just getting one Spider-Man, one Iron Man, and you know, the first suit Iron Man as an extra. Now, to be honest, I probably have 7 Masterpiece Optimus Primes. There are people out there that have focused collections of Optimus Prime and pick them all up. I don't have that many. I'm not that deep. And I have done pretty good getting rid of some of my spares in the past. But yeah, I still have like all the major releases so I can use them for comparisons. If I didn't make videos, I probably wouldn't have held on to that many primes. So people are like, why do you have so many primes? I like to show a comparison, and I like to show a history. Somebody says that I'm a bit of a historian because I make these videos, and it kind of shows the progression of the technology, the progression of the engineering over the years, and to be able to showcase all that in one video when a new Prime comes out, I kind of see that. But if I wasn't doing it, I wouldn't go that crazy, but some other people would, just for fun. Now, I want to say that this is almost the same topic, but yet it is not the same topic or the same point of this topic of action figures versus masterpiece transformers. And I want to point out the fact that we get quite a variety of characters and figures. And it's not because, say, with Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Black Series, whatever, that Hasbro just decided to do that or decided to repaint one figure to look like another character because they're all humanoids. In Transformers, a lot of them are their own design. You will not get very much reuse out of this guy here. So with that, it's impressive that we have so many options. But the reason we have so many options isn't because one company is doing it all. It's because we have a slew of companies. And yes, it's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. It's like we've lost a lot of players along the way. And Bad Cube is sort of one of them. And the Impossible Toys. There's a lot of them that were around back in the day. I do understand that a lot of people that were associated with companies that went away are in essence recycled into a different company. Kind of, this is what I was doing with them, now I can do this with someone else. Or they freelance themselves. So I do understand that there's a lot of that that's going on. But at the end of the day, variety of companies and variety of people making characters, giving us more variety of character, and it makes it for a more fun collecting experience to me, versus being stuck with one company making action figures. Henceforth, yesterday's video and my irritation, confusion, disappointment in what's going on with the Thundercats Ultimates. And one of the comments brought out that this Robert Bill is a tiny figure. 55's already too much to pay for it, according to most collectors. And now BBTS decided to up the price to $59.99. For whatever reason, I don't know exactly why. I just assume that they figure they've cornered the market here. You can still get it on Amazon. If you go to my video from Thursday, you can click my link and help out the channel. But anyway, when you have a company and they're the only ones making legitimate masterpiece style of action figures, so Ultimates figures, then they're going to do whatever they want, command whatever price they want, however they want to do it, and either you collect it or you don't. And if it was like that for Transformers, it would be frustrating. I don't think we'd have as many Transformer collectors in the game. Another example of that is, let's say a company decides they're done making masterpiece Transformers, and even if Fans Toys quit tomorrow, we'd still have X-Transbots and other companies picking up the slack. It may take a little longer, and people would say it doesn't look as good as if a Fans Toys made it or something like that. But when it comes to The Simpsons, well, there's nobody else that's going to make Ultimate-style Simpsons figures going forward. So you got what you got, you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Oh, I'm sure people did. And yes, we have an incredible line at retail right now, and I believe it's Jack's. They're $13 instead of $55. They're significantly smaller. They're not as good as the Super 7, in my opinion, for the aesthetic look, but they're not bad. They're still really good for $13 versus $55. But again, a company quits on a line or is forced to quit a line, then it's done, but not with Masterpiece Transformers. The next thing is getting your hands on what shouldn't be an exclusive. I didn't know this was an exclusive. And maybe it's only a timed exclusive, but it says only at Walmart, Walmart Collector Con. I literally physically was unable to pre-order this. And I would have, even though I absolutely hate Walmart pre-orders. They have screwed me over 4 or 5 times now. But I would have done it because I think Hasbro's done a great job in this crystal ball. I think this is one of the few times where I don't want it to look retro. And so pretty much whatever they did, I would have been happy with as long as it looked cool. And this does look pretty cool. And with that, but I guess I'm never going to own it. And you know, the truth is though, when it comes to, say, a Masterpiece Transformer, you're not going to have this problem. You're not going to have the problem that there is no other crystal ball figure in the world for you to buy, and you're not allowed to own a crystal ball because you weren't sitting in front of your computer, you were doing something else that you didn't want to do. I.e. the Fans Toys Jabber Blur, which double-edged sword. Some people say they like the Unique Toys better. Most people say they like this one better than Unique Toys. People complain about the height. Anyway, universally, it's usually considered the best one, and the price is pretty high on this one, but you can still get this figure. And if you want to go to a different place to buy it and find it somewhere, there's options, different places to sell it. But even when this one sells out or was sold out, the secondary market's through the roof, you got the Unique Toys one to fall back on. And so that's very important. And I mean, it's like one point that carries over into other points throughout the rest of this. Just like most people are really upset we don't have this Blitzwing from Fans Toys. But I got a Blitzwing on my shelf, and I haven't shed a tear yet. I mean, I'm serious. I think I've always had a Blitzwing on my shelf since 2014. Now I want to get into the idea of price versus price and value, but price first. Price first. So this is a Hot Toys Batman and Robin Mr. Freeze. I have zero interest in this. Zero. I'm not buying this. 12-inch figure, but I appreciate it for what it is. I think it's cool. Whenever I see the 12-inch figures, the Hot Toys Star Wars, the Hot Toys stuff, or even the Mondo, they command hefty price tags for a 12-inch action figure that doesn't transform. And it has one mode. Well, this guy, you can get some deluxe version with some wings or something. But with that, I look at this and I think, does this feel like more of a value, even though it lights up everywhere for $370? Well, let's see what you get as a masterpiece. So this one here is Takara Tomy Masterpiece MP57 Skyfire. I have it. I love it. I like it. It matches the cartoon, the aesthetic. It works. I also absolutely love the Fans Toys one. Even though the Fans Toys one doesn't match the animation as much as this one, it still kind of has heroic proportions. So I'm not getting rid of either one. And again, this is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character. I just like the figure, and I've got a history with the original G1 figure. And then now everyone says I'm addicted to Robotech. I'm not addicted. I'm not addicted. It's a no. I'm not addicted. But I like these. But it's a phenomenal figure. Of course, it transforms, got all the different modes, all that stuff, a lot of the additional stuff with it. But it's a true masterpiece made by the genuine Takara Tomy. But the Fans Toys one is awesome also. So that Jetfire was like $268. This is Studio Series Unicron Black version $289. It shows the store TH in the reviewer code, helps channel out. But think about it. This is still $100 cheaper than a Mr. Freeze figure. Than a 12-inch Mr. Freeze. And I think this is 18-inch, right? 17.72 inches. And then it was 14 inches for the Jetfire. And so these all transform. These have a much higher part count. These are like 100 parts to them. And they transform, and you have both modes, and a lot of stuff that's going on with it. And yes, some electronics. By the way, this one's in stock, and then they have another, more or less, it's the first version coming out again for pre-order for around the same price. In like the $300 range, which is very impressive if you ask me. But did you ask me? No. Okay. Anyway, getting back into it, Zeta also puts out Combiner. There's options out there for a Combiner for $400, and let me see what the last price was. This one is actually a picture of the mini, but they're around $400 for the Masterpiece version. This is the Legends version, which I have this one too, and I love it. Last up is the resell value, or does your figure hold value? And this is a whole other topic, but I'm squeezing it in at the end because a lot of people like to complain about it when I talk about that. Like, I'm not in it for the money. But when something happens in your life and you need to sell them, you need to sell your Star Wars Black Series collection because you need to drum up $2,000 for a house payment or something. That Star Wars Black Series collection isn't going to do it, but a Star Wars or Transformers Masterpiece collection might get you there. I mean, it's the reality of life that we live in. Let's just take this to the next level, shan't we? Somebody's trying to sell this lot of figures for $200. Now, granted, original MSRP on these, $20 figure. There's 10 figures, 2, 4, 5, 10 figures here. 2 of them are probably 25 or 30. I don't even remember when they came out, how much they were. So $200 makes them $20 a piece, and I am pretty certain, fairly confident that they're going to struggle to get 200 out of this. And so with this, I'm not talking about getting rich on this. I'm just talking about breaking even or getting 75% of your money out of what you spent. Might be a challenge in many action figure toy lines, especially in 2025, but it might be a little easier for Masterpiece. Here's another one. So this guy wants 110 for 2, 4, 6, 8 figures. Is that $12 each or something? I mean, that's not a bad price, but it's probably not going to sell really fast. I'm just saying. And at the end of the day, both collecting Transformers and action figures have some of the same drawbacks. Like, both of them, we get the same characters put out each year. Something that we already have and don't need, but it comes out anyway so that they could supply new collectors that just joined the game with that character. I understand all of that. So those are kind of like the same. Both lines end up giving you some deep cuts, and a lot of the times the deep cuts aren't really wanted by everyone. So it's one of those things that's also sort of the same. So I was looking at mostly the differences, but there are some similarities. But I'm curious what you guys think about this topic. Collecting Masterpiece Transformers and the traits that go along with that versus collecting action figures. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Tydirium, hang around.